Alright, everyone, welcome back. So, we had another series conclude in the first round of the 2024 playoffs. It is the Hurricanes and the Islanders series. So, this series resulted in a pretty non-surprising result. A lot of people had the Hurricanes winning this series, but regardless, it's still a very interesting series when it fully played out. So we'll start off with the regular season standings before we get into the game by game and all that good stuff we have left in this video. So the Hurricanes, they were obviously the higher seed. They finished this season with a 52-23-7 record for 111 points. They are third in the NHL. I thought that the Hurricanes had a very good regular season. There were points where they looked like they were struggling, but ever since that West Coast road trip, they immediately started to turn it up in the regular season and went on this awesome run to finish top 3 in the NHL. Now, the Islanders are a different instance. They were kind of middling through about 75% of the season, but then in the last quarter of the year, they got hot and got right back into the playoffs. They went 39, 27, and 16 for 94 points. They were 15th in the NHL. There have been a lot of complaints over the last year talking about how the Islanders overall, and just with their overtime losses, that was the biggest argument that we saw a lot. And it definitely is something that you could definitely debate. You could debate that they need to change the overtime point system, maybe make it so there's it only based off a record. But regardless, the Islanders got those 16 points fair and square, and they made it into the playoffs, whether you want to think it was fair or not. So, game by game, and it's a very interesting series, even though it went to 5 games. So game 1's a 3-1 win for the Hurricanes. Shots were 34-26 in favor of the Islanders in the first game of the series. So after game 1, what we saw a lot of was that Hurricanes fans thought the team played bad. And the team, honestly, what the argument was that they hadn't played a meaningful game in a very long time. So the argument was that, they kind of looked rusty, but in game 2, they definitely did not. They won 5-3, with the shots being 39-12 in favor of the Hurricanes. So one thing I want to point out here, this game was absolutely insane. It was probably one of the biggest collapses for the Islanders in the entire history of their franchise in the playoffs. So they go into this game, they go up 3-0. 3-0 on 12 shots. That's pretty good. So they looked like things were good for them. They were up 3-0, looked like they were going to tie the series. Had they held on to that, they would have been fine, but it's a problem that they've been dealing with through the majority of this regular season. They just can't seem to hold a lead, and that is why they have so many overtime loss points, just because they would blow leads. That's the issue with the Islanders. And it happened again. They let in 5 straight goals, lost the game 5-3. They are the weird thing is they're 81-0 when they leave 3-0 in the playoffs. Yeah, no, now they're 81-1. So that definitely was a stat that was definitely brought up a lot. But it seemed like a game that really just kind of collapsed this team. So they're down 2-0 heading into game 3. Odds were not in their favor. However, the Hurricanes pulled out a close one then, 3-2. In New York. Shots were 31-22 in favor of the Islanders. So I thought the Islanders played well in that game, but the issue was Carolina just had one more better opportunity. So coming into game 4, one thing that I've realized when I look at a lot of these series is that it seems like the 4th win in a series is really hard to get. You see that when you're watching a game where it's like an elimination type game, you see the team that's at risk of getting eliminated being a lot more conservative with the puck. They'll be way more defensive. There might be a low event game. There may be some shots, but it might be a low event game. This was an example of that. The Islanders won 3-2 in overtime. The shots were 44-35 in favor of the Hurricanes. So that was a game the Islanders kind of played a little bit conservative at points. Even though they were outshot, they played very conservative through the majority of the game because they knew had they let up the wrong shot in overtime, that could result in them being eliminated and swept. So that was a very big possibility. So they stave off elimination for only one game. They go into game 5, they lose 6-3. Shots were 38-25 in favor of the Hurricanes. Honestly, it really sucks if you're an Islanders fan to see them blow a 3-0 lead in game 2, see them kind of just, like they were tied and then they were down 5-3 within the span of 20 seconds in game 5. So it was a really rough series overall when you look in terms of that. And honestly, I've seen a lot of talk about the Islanders' future. Yeah, I 100% get why you're thinking that. In terms of Hurricanes scores, you have Seth Jarvis, who led the way. 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. So I've said in videos before that Jarvis has had a really good impact with this Hurricanes team. When you look at overall numbers, like, he's incredibly valuable. When he scores a point, they have a really good record. When he doesn't score a point, they just struggle to win. So that's something I've noticed with Seth Jarvis. When he gets on the board, the Hurricanes are guaranteed to win. And he had a really good series going with 7 points. So I thought he did very well. Marty Necas, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. I thought Necas as well had a good series. I think that at points he looked solid. Svechnikov, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points as well. It's crazy to think that Svechnikov was injured for a lot of the year, nearly won a point per game pace, and now he's doing very well in the playoffs. So it's good to see there. Brady Shea, 5 assists for 5 points. I thought he had a really good overall series. And then Evgeny Kuznetsov, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. That's impressive. That is really impressive when you're looking at Kuznetsov. He was brought in as that fourth liner, to get them some points and get them some secondary scoring. He's done that so far. Now, whether they want to argue or not, the overall, just like, the 12-second penalty shot, I understand that. That is an argument, and that will be an argument for a while, but it is what it is. Can't really change it now. Other guys that I thought looked good, Jake Gensel, deadline player, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. And then Aho had a much more quieter series, but I thought still played well. Had 2 goals for 3 points. So I thought he had an overall solid series too. And in terms of goaltending, Freddie Anderson played well as well with a 4-1, a 2.25, and a .912 save percentage. So I thought Anderson also played very good too. The goaltending for one side was great. The other side, yeah, I don't know about that. Besides Varlamov, there is some concerns that I do have with this Islanders team. Barzal led the scoring, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. Barzal, again, has always been that solid player, will be for a long time. Definitely the best offensively skilled player on this Islanders roster. Brock Nelson, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. I thought Nelson played all right too. He had his points. Anders Lee, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. There's been some criticism about maybe even trading Lee. I know there's going to be a lot of arguments for that in the offseason. We'll obviously get into that later on. You got Kyle Palmieri, who had 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. I didn't think he played bad either. I think that overall he scored some good goals, or scored a good goal for them. And then Bo Horvat, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. So, I mean, you can argue that the contracts, they're overpaid and that you pay them this much money for them to score 3 points in the playoffs. But honestly, the Islanders aren't known for scoring a lot. So, obviously, when it comes to playoff series like this, it's not entirely too ideal. A player that I thought really concerned me was Noah Dobson. Dobson was a guy in the regular season who looked great, was a really solid offensive defenseman, was making cases for the Norris Trophy, and then he had 1 assist in the first round. So, honestly, you see in parts where teams kind of have disappointing, they lose in the first round. You obviously see 1 or 2 players that are disappointing. That is Dobson for the Islanders. 1 assist ain't gonna cut it. It just simply is not. So that's really disappointing there. And then Varlamov. I think even though Varlamov went 1-3 in this series, I thought he had a really good series overall. A 2.7 and a .914. So he had a higher save percentage than Anderson. And in a lot of these games, he was getting outshot too. He was facing over 40 shots. So I think he's done himself a very good job at, overall kind of, defending the Islanders, making it a 5-game series. Because I think if you have Sorokin in there, who had a very rough regular season and a rough playoffs, I do think that things would have gone differently. Sorokin went 0-1, a 6.61 and a .786. So he started in, I think, game 3, let in 2 goals in 2 goals on 3 shots or something like that, and then he got pulled. So, yeah, very rough playoffs there for Sorokin in the 1 game that he played. It makes you have some concern a little bit for what exactly is going to come for the future, because Sorokin was your guy, essentially, to be your goalie. If he's not, that doesn't look too great, to be honest with you. So, you can talk about, and I'm going to make a video on it soon for sure, about the Islanders and overall their future. I got plenty of those I need to do. But when you look at overall, their future isn't great. I know I've said it so many times. People say it so many times. but I feel like they're going to be this way for the next 2 years. I don't think that they're going to be able to nuke the core or make this core any closer to a cup. They're either going to regress or stay the same. That's kind of how I view the New York Islanders, at least right now. So regardless, you can take that what you will. Goals scored in this series. The Hurricanes scored 20. The Islanders scored 10. That's a 20-10 ratio. So a much more low-scoring series compared to a lot of these other series we look at. Like, even Oilers-Kings was a pretty high-scoring series. Power plays, Carolina went 5 for 15. I thought they had a very good power play overall. And then the Islanders went 3 for 8. So, obviously, you want to see better out of that. And then you can complain, too, about the refs. Oh, why didn't we have the same amount of penalties as the Hurricanes? Why didn't the Hurricanes have the same amount of penalties as us? It's something you can get into. But regardless, the Islanders are out. The Hurricanes will play the Rangers in the second round. That is going to be tomorrow's video, hopefully for your fun Friday. But regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. Hope you like this new mic, by the way. I'm trying out something new here with the audio, see if it's better this way. Hopefully, I'll be able to figure something out where it's closer to me, but obviously, I kind of got to hold it right now. But yeah, again, as I said, I'll do the Rangers-Hurricanes preview soon, and back to the drawing board for the Islanders. But regardless, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.